Oh, my bad. My bad. I brought you on without even asking if you were ready. My bad, sir. My bad.
I didn't even know what was going on. I just heard some music.
Clearly, I said my bad. I know that's what I just said. Hey, what's up, El Teddy? How are you, sir?
El Teddy is great today. I am great. I had a
Hey,
rest.
everybody. Abby says she here till she doze off. Little babies in the house. Quintessential. Keep it cute. Hello, hello, hello.
Abby, you better not be over there getting addicted to melanin pills.
No, she's had a busy couple of days. She just busy,
Yeah,
busy.
she moving
Hey,
and
Lock
stuff.
Queen. What's up? Hey, Below. Watermelon Sugar said that she too may be dozing off. Well, I hope the conversation don't put y'all to sleep.
Right. Everybody
Hey,
was going.
Brandon.
Good guys. What's up with everybody sleeping today? You know what?
Listen, it's gonna be. Y'all gonna perk right on up. So this is a special. We have our regular tribe meetings, but this is remember how back in the day when they would put that. This is a special episode of Different Strokes right before they would get ready to talk about stranger danger or something like that. So
Oh.
and so that's what this is. I titled this a very special edition, a very special tribe meeting where we'll be discussing Queen Sugar. Now, we reached out to a few other reviewers. I have one who said that they're on their way. Another one I'm hoping can make it. I talked to a few other ones who were not able to make it because it was kind of short notice. But, because we wanted to bring some other people. It was a really, for myself, and then I'm going to
Let
let
me say this before you go any further. Couple things and couple tribe meeting announcements.
Okay.
But I'm making announcements on your channel.
I'm about to say, I don't even know what these announcements are, but okay.
Hello, focus. Let me do this. Focus. Um, definitely want to give a wonderful big yay Yahoo shout out to my big sis who's been all over social media getting retweeted by WeTV and T.S. Madison. This morning, Ava DuVernay tweeted her um, and liked her review of Queen Sugar. And her review of the T.S. Madison experience has been all over Algo. It's good internet. So definitely members of the tribe, we want to big up her, congratulate her because she has been working really, really hard and just putting out a lot of great content. And so we
Oz
definitely
is
want to appreciate
trying.
her for putting out good stuff and putting in the work and time and having some of her efforts and energy, reap some good rewards and stuff like that. So I'm excited for her.
Well,
So
thank
I
you so
wanted to
much,
say
sir. I appreciate you. And actually today, I will throw it back at El Teddy today. His tweet was retweeted by the director of tonight's episode. So definitely want to put that out there as well. So yeah, we doing some good things over here on Treasure Lane, okay? Doing some good things in the House of Debauchery and the tribe and all these good things. Now I know a famous person, child. Listen, when my subscriber count match it, then we can have a conversation.
that's when she gonna forget about us little people. You know what I'm
Child,
saying? We gonna
listen.
be over here too much longer. Y'all know,
Listen.
I'm counting my days now when she gets all famous, and I ain't gonna be invited over here. I'm just gonna be in the chat. Am I still gonna get a mod stick? Will I be able to keep my mod stick? That is the question, ma'am.
Maybe.
See what I'm saying? Y'all see? And it's just gonna be a distant memory. I remember
Hey,
when.
Rochelle Perkins, how you doing? Hey, Karen. Anybody else that came in while we were doing the announcements? The other announcement I want to make too is tomorrow, same time, same place. Well, no, not the same place. Same time, El Teddy and I will be having we will be doing a teacher project tomorrow afternoon. We got some things to discuss. Some things are going on in reference to curriculum and minority studies, and it'll actually go hand in hand with what we're going to be talking about today. Y'all, if you watch Queen Sugar, you're more than welcome to come up and join the conversation. I know you don't review it, but if you watch it, because you are a reviewer, you will definitely be, I know you watch it with a critical eye of a reviewer. So let me know and I'll definitely forward you the link.
Yeah,
So,
definitely, ladies and gentlemen. If you can, everybody, please come over to Teacher Project 2.0. If one of the mods can drop the link, because we're going to be talking about a lot of important stuff on Teacher Project 2.0 tomorrow. So drop the link in your social medias, send it all out to your teacher friends if they want to be, as every review says, teachery and stuff like that.
yeah,
They can come along and do that. It feels so like, oh God, me promoting channels and stuff like that. You know, that's not and my friends have told me I need to work on that. So I'm gonna
I'm
work
about
on
to
that.
say get over it.
I gotta work on that on my own channel. So I'm gonna start to do that.
Exactly. Mods, help him over there. I know one thing I do need to start. I do need to. I'm gonna talk to. I meant to. I was gonna talk to my mods. I need to start dropping. You do a good job over on your channel. I need to start dropping my membership link more. I don't drop it over here like I should. Quintessential. Let's do it now. El Teddy, what time tomorrow will work for you? I know that. Give me the thumbs up when you're ready in the background.
I'm free all day tomorrow. It's
When you're
up to
ready.
you. You tell me what time and I'll be ready.
All right, we'll know before the end of this live Quintessential. We'll have a time. I want to welcome one of my fellow reviewers, Kamisha Reviews. First of all, hey girl, hey. First of all, let me thank you for being here on such short notice. I apologize. Charge it to my head, not my heart. El Teddy and myself had this conversation earlier today. It was really short notice, and I was like, you were one of the people I wanted to reach out to, and my brain just. Listen, it got away from me, but I'm glad you were able to make it because I know you one of them hard workers and you're not always off. So I'm so glad you were able to come through. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Kamisha also reviews. She does reviews on her show. So the mods, can y'all make sure y'all drop the link for Kamisha's channel as well? She reviews a lot of the same shows I review, but she also
she gets a lot of the people on the show.
Yes, and there's a lot of interviews and the inside stuff. She follows all of those people's social medias and stuff, and she be giving y'all them. Y'all know how y'all like to bring me them inside scoops, and y'all be like, "Well, so and so said on their Twitter such and such."
She be getting interviewed, and I be over there watching. She be getting interviewed. I'd be like, "Oh, she got so and so." She be getting them good interviews. Go ahead, shout out.
So
thank you. I appreciate. Got me gushing over here. Thank you.
But definitely check her out. Because you guys, we got a new season of Ready to Love coming up, and she definitely does the Ready to Love thing. And she also does like the challenge and Big Brother and a lot of those type of shows. And the Circle, El Teddy did the Circle. You did Circle last season, right? On Netflix, El Teddy. Did you do the Circle? So there's a new season of the Circle starting next month, and so I know
it is. Okay, I gotta do.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you today because I saw it on her channel. I said, "Oh, I gotta let El Teddy know."
Because I plan on picking that up as well. I try to catch these different little sites that I'm on, and they be posting it like at 5 in the morning. And you have to understand, I work overnight, so when it hit first, I see it, I post it because I'm just overnight. I found a difference, a positivity with that. I'm seeing things because they post stuff at 2 in the morning. Something dropped it. So I'm like right there, like, oh, okay, and I check it and I post it. So I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna review it too.
Matter of fact, you may want to think about it really. The Circle did really well for me last year. Like people really responded well. Like it was a big thing when it hit. So yeah, it was a really good show for me.
Wow. I'll definitely think about it. Because I heard some great things about it, and a couple of people asked me about it, and I was like, nah. I would always send them to you. I say, nah, going over to El Teddy. El Teddy is he's reviewing that. All right. So last night's episode of Queen Sugar, and we said this last week. I know El Teddy said it last week. I said it last week. Kamisha said it. We saw this episode coming. We saw the previews for it. We knew that last week they gave us a really nice feel-good episode. But all of us know, especially if we study literature, we know that we always get that valley before we go back up to that peak, and I'm sure I'm not using the correct literary terms that El Teddy will use, but I know the point that I'm making. And so we saw the George Floyd situation coming. But I'm gonna I'm gonna throw it to our guest, and then I'm gonna let El Teddy speak on it. What was your, just without getting into any actual details of your review, what was your initial response or your initial reaction to the episode? Like when you were done, like where were you in it? Like emotionally, where were you feel like? Where did it take you?
It brought me back to the day when I was catching it, and I remember the first thing I thought about was my boys. I have 2 boys, so it really brought back those emotions back about having those conversations, regardless of the age. It was just a tough moment. I didn't think it'd be that fresh. I'll say that the feelings are sad.
Mm-hmm. El Teddy, what about you?
Moment of self-disclosure. As a Black man here in these yet to be United States of America, I will be brutally honest. I never watched it. To this day, never watched it.
Me either.
It's so we've seen so many iterations of George Floyd. I didn't need. Remember, I taught at the school Trayvon Martin went to. You understand what I'm saying? Like I watched him walk in the hallways. You know what I'm saying? And so things like that, like I know his mom, they're from Miami. I know his mom really well. She actually plays Delta with a very good friend of mine, one of my close friends. So, but anyway, and I've seen this over and over and over on media, and so I didn't need to watch it to know how impactful it was in terms of the episode. It didn't bring me to tears. It was more of a conversation for me. It was more of I felt like there was a conversation being had between myself and the writers and everybody watching, because it was they were speaking to you and you felt yourself almost speaking back to them, like as it was going on. So that's kind of the feel that I got for it. It was powerful. It wasn't sad for me. It was more so powerful for me for a lot of different reasons. Not that it wasn't a sad occasion, but the way they were able to bring this to television, just the manner in which they were able to do it was really powerful for me. I don't know. That's just how I left the episode overall.
Right. I said for myself, I said at the beginning of my review, I started to not even do my review last night because I had so many raw emotions with myself. But then I also wanted to, you're sideways, El Teddy, just so you know.
I know my phone just did.
But then I was like, no, I got to get this. I got to get it out as raw as it is, because I was like, I felt like at any point maybe I would get emotional, and I said, but I have to do it because that's what it gave me. And I'm the same with you, El Teddy. I have yet to look at that 8 minutes and 46 seconds, I believe it was. I've seen clips of it, obviously, but So for me, it's interesting that you say conversation, because for me, the episode was a series of conversations. I broke it down into these series of very serious, much needed conversations that were very well written and very well acted out. We start the episode off. We see Ralph Angel and Darla going off on their honeymoon. Yay, great. And then the next morning, the shit hits the fan. Hey, Random TV Reviews. Shouts out to Random TV Reviews in the house. Appreciate y'all being here. Y'all check out their review as well. I reached out to them, but they couldn't make it today. But y'all definitely make sure y'all check them out and catch their review. We also shared some sentiments in reference to last night's episode. And so the shit hits the fan, and the first thing we see is Micah and Charlye. And it immediately takes us back to the fact that Queen Sugar has already addressed this to a certain degree, and we immediately see Micah going back to that moment. El Teddy, I see you nodding your head. Speak on it.
At the beginning of my review, for those people who watch my review, I had this little soliloquy, I guess I did, where I talked about the famous verse in the Bible that all children love, which is the Jesus wept verse, which is the shortest verse in the Bible. And even though it's just 2 words, there's so much packed into that because he understood that moment, because it was when Lazarus had died and Mary and Martha came and told him and, drug him and said, hey, had you been here, he probably would not be dead. And he understood that moment, and his friend was dead, and he just sat there and just wept. And we had these moments throughout the episode where you would see all of these characters would have their own moment where they would just sit there and just weep. But the interesting thing about it is there's always, when you have those kinds of moments where there's this raw, unabridged emotion, there's a change that happens in a person after that. Something in them gets triggered and changes, and now their trajectory and their direction either goes either more full steam ahead where they were going, or may change completely. And so every time I witnessed it and saw where that character was and how they would cry, it immediately triggered, okay, what's about to happen in this character, and how are they about to change or, move into where they're going to go, good, bad, or in between. So with Micah, he was one of the first ones in the episode that had this emotional, just like, just breakdown. And so I immediately just said to myself, yeah, he's about to go straight Stokely. I just said he's about to go straight Stokely Carmichael.
Burn, baby, burn.
Right.
I am Micah. I am more in the line of Micah. Burn the shit down.
Yeah.
I'm not here for, because so many times we are at, even Martin King at the end of his life was at the point where he was saying, listen, all of this nonviolence, it was cute, it was good, but that ain't really got us a whole lot of places.
Exactly.
They still, it's not going to change. They want us to be peaceful. They want us to do it the right way, do it the way they want to, so that they don't have to change, so that they don't have to do anything that puts them out of their comfort zone, even though the entirety of our lives is out of the human comfort zone.
Oh yeah, that's always been that way.
And so when I saw Micah, and you immediately go back to him, and what he experienced with the when he had the police officer and so forth. And if you remember, it was a very traumatic experience for Michael. Remember, he wet himself.
Yes.
He peed on himself, and during the whole thing, and Nova had to come and wrap him up. I remember that episode so good. That is one of my favorite episodes because I was in the bed in the fetal position, boohoo crying, because I remember my first experience with the police was at like 8 or 9 years old. And I've had so many experiences like that with police in where I come from and so forth, all through my life. And so I remember vividly being brought back as a child my first time getting put in that situation. And I remember that episode. I was in like the fetal position and bed, like boohoo crying. It was just crazy for me because I know what that feels like. And this is not going to be popular, so I'll be the one that will say it. It's a very different feel when for us as Black men sometimes, not that they don't kill Black women as well, because I'm never going to say that. Not that Black women have not had to bear the brunt of a whole lot of injustices, but when we talk about specifically with a lot of times with police, and even if there's not death, but even in just the way and manner in which things go down, they're more inclined to make us as the males the victim of the brutality and the violence and so forth. Than not. It's a whole different feel. It takes on a whole different
right.
I'm sorry.
Ahead,
I was just gonna say, yes, I will agree that the men have to carry that load. But the other load that the women have had to carry over the years, it was more of this is a predator and this is something they can have. Black women experience different things as far as the police trying to touch them, do things. And for a long time, other things would happen. I know I don't want to say it on the channel. Other things would happen. They would go really far and
violation
and things, nothing happened. There was a normal thing in certain rural communities, especially, the South. And so, yes, the men had to, and they still do, have to carry this load, but the women's load was heavy. It was just different.
And I think that, and I'm not going to jump ahead, but I'm just going to drop this here, and then we're going to go back. We're going to go to this first conversation that I felt like we had in this episode. But it sort of takes us to what Hollywood says at the end of the episode when he's talking to Vi about the mother and how with a black man, at the end of the day,
you call to your mama.
At the end of the day, his mother has to protect him, because as a black man, he's still not protected, and that his mother always. And so I think both of your points are valid. And like you said, it's there. It's the burden is there, but it's in a different. It's manifested itself differently.
And I often think about how black women, a lot of times, as black men, we have to go through this rage and this emotion of just pure rage where you come and you don't have to deal with all of this. And a lot of times black women, you all have to bear that burden as well of allowing us as black men to have those raw emotions, to comfort black men as we deal with the injustices of this society and how everything, kind of feel like we feel like the weight of the outside world ends up being on our shoulders. But then when we walk into that household, then the weight of the household kind of inside the household becomes the responsibility of a lot of times the black woman, where she then becomes the agent by which a lot of the weight of the society and emotions is cast on, and she has to bear that on her breast and her bosom and stuff like that. It was very deep, and all of that came out last night episode.
Yeah,
that's hard. That's a hard position to be in, to have to be the mother, and because I've been in all those positions, to have to be the wife and to look out for the kids, and knowing he's coming in from the world and everything is happening. But in the 20th century, the woman's also having the world come on her shoulders. But at the same time, she's gonna look out and be that comfort for him, so he can go ahead and lash out or whatever. And she just holds her in, including the children, teenager, whoever it is. It's like mama is the care for everybody except for herself.
Facts. So that was sort of the first conversation. We saw Micah revisit that trauma, and we saw him speaking about, listen, this didn't happen on some country road in the middle of the night. This didn't happen in no alleyway. You know what I'm saying? He was like, this was in broad daylight in front of everybody, and it was videotaped. And what I love about Queen Sugar is that, like El Teddy said, this was something that we addressed in season 1, and they have continued to layer it so that we have seen Micah go through many different emotions as he processed this event. And a lot of times, I know myself, I get irritated with Micah sometimes, but they give us this so that we know that this event did not happen in a vacuum. And that's the one thing that I love about, because that happens in another situation later on in the episode where it's like, well, this is something that Queen Sugar has already addressed, not even knowing that the George Floyd situation was going to happen, not even knowing that it was going to happen, but just because they were addressing the real world and things that happen in our world, it was sort of a reality. And so that was sort of one of the first big conversations. Go ahead, Eltady. What were you going to say?
I think also a conversation piece on the whole of the episode for us as reviewers is, I've seen a few reviews where a lot of reviewers did not want to touch it or did not want to address it and so what ends up happening is, and I will say this, a lot of times the media will give us this stuff because they want us to get to the point where we are just so like, oh my God, no, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to address it. I don't want to get to that point. I don't want to be, as we say, triggered when I get to that point. But what that does is it silences us. And by us being silent on these things, then the conversation is never had. Then our needs are not addressed. So then we can be pushed to the side and kicked in pushed in the corner so that our needs are never addressed because they want us to get to the point where we get either desensitized to it, 1, or 2, so exhausted by it where we say, I just can't do it anymore, and we get weary in well doing. And even I think we, even as reviewers, have a job when these episodes like this do come up, we have to address it, talk about it, and all of this, because it's the furthering of the conversation and letting people know, oh no, we're here for it. We see it and we're not going to ignore it because that's what you want us to do. So you think that it's just going to be okay to keep it coming?
Yeah. So real quick, Miss Honey, I see your device is trying to connect, but if you can hear me, it's not connecting. I don't know if you need to go out and try it again, but I see that you're backstage trying to get connected and it's not letting you connect. So I just didn't know if you knew. I just wanted to say that. Thank you everybody who's coming in, showing love and support. I appreciate you guys for being here. So we saw Aunt Vi respond. Mr. Prosper was like, listen, this ain't nothing new. It is what it is. We see Hollywood angry. Aunt Vi walks in on Hollywood just at the point where the commentator is saying he was calling for his mother. And of course, we know that is still very, very raw for Hollywood. But the first moment of this episode that sort of had me have to take a moment and take a deep breath and pause was Nova setting her timer to that 8 minutes and 46 seconds and calling the names. And that emotion in her doing that. That was very powerful. For me, that was a very powerful moment. But then we see her going to have a conversation with the boyfriend. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. When she first came out of there and said, "Aren't you ashamed?" I was like, "Oh Lord, here we go."
Exactly.
But about halfway through the conversation, I said, "Oh hell no, nah. Get it,
Right.
Because
even the daughter was
exactly. Then you realize just how necessary, how accurate, and how needed that conversation was, which I still don't think he got when she was done. He still didn't get it. But she was talking about, hold on, El Teddy, go ahead. Somebody's at my door.
Oh, to me, even though there was a lot of emphasis placed on the conversation at the end of the episode between Blue, Darla, and Ralph Angel, this to me was the conversation that intrigued me the most. This conversation Nova had with this white man and his daughter about how us as Black people, we do take it on. We take this stuff on. A lot of the Generation Zers aren't old enough to remember the DC sniper. They might hear stories, but they were probably too young or probably weren't born to remember DC sniper. I remember before we knew it was Black people, we said categorically, "Oh, that's some white people over there." We knew that. And the moment that it came out that these were Black people, we collectively as a race, we all said, "I know those. Fuck you." Wait, what? That's the Black. And because we do take that on, and we know many of us have been at workplaces or at school or different places where you're the only Black person, or maybe it's just 2 or 3 of y'all. And anytime something happened with Black people, now you got to be the one that got to give all of the answers for everything that Black people have to say, for everything that goes on with Black people. And so she was really attempting to get them to, and I think the daughter a little bit tried to understand it. She might have been lying because I don't buy her anyway.
I don't trust her. I still don't trust her.
But I feel like the daughter tried. He didn't need, I don't see it for White Boy Cop and Nova anyway. I've been said they should have been broken up because it don't make no sense for her to be the activist against police brutality and then you deal with this type of cop.
I was just having that conversation with random TV reviews of not even an hour ago.
And you knew from the beginning that he sat there and watched or was privy to.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get that's one of those things that I was saying. It comes up again because it had already been addressed and it fit right into this story. Absolutely. I want to welcome to the panel Miss Honey. Again, Miss Honey also reviews Queen Sugar, and so we are welcoming her input. She's been here before when we would speak on what was that show y'all wanted me to review? What was that show, y'all? What was the show?
Oh, we don't know. You do so much.
The HBO show with the science fiction.
Oh,
Oh, Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft Country. I couldn't get it out. Okay.
Lovecraft Country was quality television. Please understand.
Okay.
Yes, it
How
was.
they coming for it now though? They coming for Lovecraft Country now.
Listen. No weapon. No weapon.
Oh,
But that was actually valid. I'm gonna let Miss Honey speak on it and get caught up. We're on the, and if there's anything you want to add, I asked about first impressions when you first watched the episode before you dug deep, just your immediate raw response to the episode, and then we were talking about the fact that they addressed Micah's PTSD being triggered in that moment, and now Nova sort of confronting the boyfriend about, they treat Black people as a monolith, but you get to walk away and say, well, that ain't me. Like, just because he white, it don't have nothing to do with me, but that Black people don't have that luxury. So I'll let you sort of have the floor for a moment because you're coming in so you can get caught up and all that good stuff.
well, I want to say good evening to everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well. Tedicus, you know how much I love you.
Hey.
And I thought initially, I thought what I always think. I am absolutely enamored by what Ava DuVernay has done with this body of work. To me, it is always amazing. And it's down to the finest details. When Charlie came up that hallway and greeted her son with those open arms, it just started for me at that moment, because it's kind of like talking to people who know exactly where you're coming from. You're watching people who are showing those raw emotions that you have felt, and maybe you didn't have a venue, maybe you didn't have the people around you that you could discuss it with. Maybe you were frustrated, maybe you haven't discussed it up until this point. You compartmentalized everything. What this episode did was it validated us. It's not just me who feels this bevy of emotions. And what I've said about this season is that it's like each one of our main characters are in a glass box, and we get to go visit each one of their glass houses. And I know people say it's not the same because they're in COVID and you don't have all these outside entities popping in that's creating this drama. That makes it that much more special because they're giving us drama in this limited confinement, this confined place. And it is deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's deep. It's meaty. This is not milk. If you want milk, go over to Real Housewives of Atlanta, right? Like, to me, that's milk. That's
don't
easy.
watch Portia get arrested.
Yeah, that's low hanging fruit. That's fodder, right?
Right, exactly.
But here, if you want to cut your teeth, you know what I'm saying? We got meat over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was everything. And I really feel like they should give the gentleman who plays Hollywood, I can't call his name, but he's from Decatur. He's right here in Atlanta, from the deck. And he's also, one of my favorites. I feel like he deserves an Emmy just from him acting in terms of what was going on with his mom, just to have no one else to bounce that dialogue off of and still to be able to emote the way that he did. Outstanding. And I think next episode is going to prove that even more. We're going to see a side of Hollywood that is going to make us all clutch our pearls, I think.
Yes, I think so.
I didn't look at the previews for next episode, so I don't know what's. I didn't even have it in me.
Like I said, I talked about that. When somebody goes through that weeping and emoting process, that just raw, unabridged emotion, there is a change that is about to happen in that person. That's that spark that either sends their trajectory further where they're going in the direction that they're going, or there is a shift and a change that they make, and sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it is for the worse. And so, as this was one of those episodes where you saw each character. We saw Micah, we saw Ralph Angel, we saw Nova, we saw Vi, just go through her weeping process, where Hollywood had to let her know, and I'm sure we'll get that one, that conversation between her and Hollywood, and even Hollywood, where all of these people went through this process of dealing with raw emotion, but they're going to have to come on the other side of this. And now, what does that mean for this character? How does that change the trajectory for where they're going in terms of, you know, this storyline or this series? Because we have at least one more season.
Well, I talked about that in my review. I talked about how from Micah we got this anger, this rebellion. You know, it really ignited his warring spirit, right? Yeah. And he was ready to go full ham. And then we got this woundedness from the Omar Dorsey. Thank you, Alikala, for that. From Omar Dorsey's character, Hollywood, where he's fractured. Mm-hmm. And what we're seeing is this panic that comes when you're fractured. He's thrown into a place of paranoia and anger, mm-hmm. and you know, just feeling like the rubber has met the road, like his back is up against the wall. I feel like from Nova, we got this energy, you know, this intellectual energy, this need to understand, this need to be clear, this need to express and say clearly what we are feeling. You know what I'm saying? You want to tell somebody, and she's got Calvin trapped in that house, baby. All he's doing is cleaning up and making coffee, right, and servicing her needs when she needs it. And she's holding him to task for all the white people she cannot go out and confront.
Yes, exactly.
Kamisha, you have anything to add before we go to the next conversation? Because I feel like this episode was a series of conversations. So
yes, I was just going to really add in what she was saying as well, that poor little Calvin, poor little Tank, he up in there just straight struggling. Not only is Nova going after Tink, we got the stepdaughter. I call that's her stepdaughter now. The stepdaughter going in, talking about daddy. I said, So I don't know how she could be with him. It's too much.
I think like Teddy was saying, is that on the other side of this, I don't know if Calvin and Nova will make it, but I know we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make it either, but
I think to me, Nova, I was most glad. The only thing that night that disappointed me was Nova's character, because I felt like in the immediacy of Nova doing what she did,
is that me again, y'all? But El Teddy's echoing. Is it me again, or
you're echoing too?
I'm echoing too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord. Okay, I'm gonna go out and come back in. Hold on.
But in the immediacy of Nova, I'm sorry, I'm getting a tweet from the director who I'm trying so feverishly to see if I can get to come on. She tweeted me back. And remember I told you I tweeted her? She tweeted me back, asking me when and what time and so. But anyway, what I wanted to say was my problem was I felt like Nova, if we go back to season 1 and season 2 Nova, season 1 and season 2 Nova would not be at home.
Come on now.
Season 1 and season 2 Nova would have been out there.
Come on now.
She would have been out there protesting, burning it down with everybody else. And
her wings have been clipped, Teddy. I'm telling you, her wings have been clipped. She's accepting a lot from Calvin that she didn't accept from the black men in the past, or the black women that she was with.
It got right, exactly.
Know, but like, really? So first you're gonna lay up with this white boy cop who goes against everything that you know about, and then you got one of the biggest protests we got going on, but you sitting at home trying to have a conversation with somebody who ain't gonna never really fully understand what you trying to tell him. That was the part I was like, really no.
But let me. This goes left, and the Miss Honey and Kamisha. You'll understand what I'm saying as a woman. Now, this gets into something outside of what has been spoken on, but isn't that what we, and I say we, I don't mean the three of us specifically, but isn't that what we do as women? when we find love, don't we make so many allowances for love? And I feel like, and again, I don't know if that's going to be explored because so many other social issues came up.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's a conscious thing that the writers are doing or if they're just softening Nova up for whatever reason. But isn't that what we do when we find love? Don't we change ourselves, or we allow ourselves to put up with things that we wouldn't have done as a single woman or with a different man? You know what I mean? We do it. We do that. And so I'm wondering if this is consciously being done or if this is just something we are picking up on. You know what I'm saying?
No. I completely agree with you 100%. And the way Ava writes, it's like she's writing a book from, real women or herself or whatever, because women who are single have all these standards. And then in your relationship, it's like, oh, that's okay. I'll get it for him this time. I'll pay for it this time. It's all right. I mean, not saying every woman is like that, but I'm just saying.
We know that's right.
You all into it. You all in love. You're so comfortable. You don't want to change it, even though it's wrong. Whatever. Like everyone said, just Nova season 1, season 2 would have been out there and he would have been gone.
Right.
And you can see it bubbling the way she was coming at Calvin.
Yeah. It's gonna bubble. Look,
she didn't care. His dog was sitting right there. She was going in. Like, okay, was you embarrassed? He was like.
Yep. And the reality is, and then we're gonna move on. But the reality of the situation is, this is the unicorn she's been chasing since season 1. Let's not forget. And again, as women, not specifically talking about the 3 women on this panel or the women in the chat, but as women, we lock in on a man. Now we might not let the first one, the second one, or the third one, but let that one that we thought was the one that got away, the one that we couldn't get, the one that we've been chasing, because in our mind we have built ourselves up to think that he's the one, and if he just gets his stuff together and he come at me correct, and in Calvin's case, if he just get divorced and. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So again, I don't know. We, like El Teddy said, we know we have a whole nother season. So is this going to be addressed? Don't know. But it is an interesting concept. Now,
I just wanted to say really quickly that both you and Kamisha have very valid points, and I get that. I think the caveat here is that Nova's whole existence has been based upon this sort of rebel, free-spirited Mother Earth. She consults with the ancestors and all of this stuff. It's almost like Nova's been blinded. That it's almost like, and I think that's my issue with her and Calvin. It's like Calvin is her Trojan horse. He's the weakening of the power that is Nova. And I don't know why that is. I don't, because she's had tremendous love before. She's had these really, really emotional relationships, and she's cut them off for little or nothing. You remember the young lady that she was with prior to old girl from oh Lord, why did I start naming names? I know I'm old now. Let me think. The first young lady. The first young lady that she was
the writer?
Not the professor, but
not the professor.
Yeah. That lady loved her, and she had been in and out of her life trying to get love from Nova. Nova dusted her off. The doctor dusted him off. Now we have Calvin, who flies in the face of every single solitary standard that she has set. It's like he's her Trojan horse. It's like he's there to take some of the power and the steam out of Nova. He adds absolutely nothing to the Nova character. Absolutely nothing.
I agree. So all right, so let's get to the next conversation that I felt like. So we had the Charlye and Micah conversation. We had the Nova and Calvin conversation, and then we go to the next for me, and y'all tell me because I may be going out of order. But then we have the Charlye Micah situation again, where El Teddy was saying the burn baby burn conversation. And I loved this conversation because I said it in my review, it almost takes us back to the whole evolution of the 1960s. We had Martin Luther King starting us off with nonviolence, and then we evolved into the SNCC years, and then we sort of got to the Black Panther moment, right, where and you know, if you studied that era, that you know we had a lot of people that left Martin Luther King's organization and got more radical and then became, you know, by the end of the decade, like El Teddy said, even Martin Luther King was moving away from his own nonviolent philosophy. And I feel like I saw it in that moment where you had Charlye and you had Micah, and both of them were making valid arguments with valid points. They were even quoting the same person at each other. But it was such a powerful moment.
It was so funny because when Charlye gave that quote from Martin King, I knew before Micah could even get out, I said, Micah better come back with Martin Luther King said that right the language of the unheard. I knew, and literally like seconds after I said, he better come back with it. He came right back with it. Because I was like, wait a minute, you're not going to come at me with Martin King. You know what I'm saying? You could do the same thing with the James Baldwin, where James Baldwin was always pretty radical. He was always a lot more radical.
Oh yeah, he was way
than Martin, and that's because he was allowed to be the voice of Black Americans internationally, whereas Martin had to do that domestically. And internationally, James Baldwin was allowed to explore more of those real raw emotions because he was more free out in Europe and Asia and Africa and all the other places he was going, whereas Martin domestically, white people here in America put him in this box and said, no, you're going to stay in this little box if you want us to do anything with you. And so we as Black people are breaking out of that box. Well, we broke out a long time ago, but we're at the point where we're like, listen, burn the box, burn the person who made the box, burn of the warehouse where the box was made.
Exactly.
Right. Before I'm gonna come to Miss Honey, Kamisha, and then Miss Honey. But before I do that, I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna let El Teddy, don't say nothing. Just give me your reaction. Explain to me how loudly you cussed that little girl out when she said Jimmy B. Just tell me how loudly you cussed that little girl out when she referred to James Baldwin as Jimmy B.
It was gross.
I had to pick up glass off the floor in front of the television because I threw the glass of what I had.
Listen,
no reverence. It's disgusting how casual they've become.
But you know what? I said this in my review. I remember being a freshman in high school and we were doing Romeo and Juliet, and we got to the end of the book, and of course we had to do our essay on Romeo and Juliet. And I remember my English teacher being very specific in saying, make sure that you show the respect that is deserved of William Shakespeare. He is not Billy. He's not Billy S. He's not William S. He's none of that. He is William Shakespeare. And in that moment, I never got it as much as I got it in that moment about how my English teacher was telling us, you give the respect that is deserved. Because don't get me wrong. But in that, as soon as
really there's a pantheon of Black intellectuals. There's a Mount Rushmore for me. James Baldwin is on my Mount Rushmore.
I know, that's why I knew when she said it. I said, El Teddy's gonna cuss her out so bad.
I didn't cuss out in the review because my review I thought was gonna be a lot longer. And so I said, I don't got time to go down this rabbit hole with white girl, because you know how I feel about the people descended from the Caucasus Mountains. And and this white girl disrespected the great James Baldwin. Yeah, I could have went to places.
All right, Miss Kamisha, how did you feel about the Charlye Micah moment with that? Because again, that was a powerful moment. I felt
it was, because I looked at it on both sides, two different generations. I've had conversations with both my boys and have gotten two different responses because I wanted to kind of like see what did you think, and like my youngest was right there with Micah, like, yo, let's go, period. I was like, okay. And then the older one was kind of like, I kind of see what Charlye is saying about how, let's try a different route. But my younger son was saying, right now people are just straight angry and just like, we don't want to deal with it. We want to just straight go in and take care of whatever. And I'm just like, I get that, but at the same time, what is that going to accomplish? I've always said that. There's been more than one. I told my son, there's been more than one. I showed him Detroit, other cities that burn, all the kind of stuff. And at the end of it, what was the answer? And then my son, he thought about it for a second, and he said, no, I don't think it's a great thing, but the anger and the emotion, he said,
definitely. And I've always said that I've gotten into debates about riots and stuff before, and what I have always said is I understand it. I don't agree, but I understand it. I definitely understand it. Miss Honey, your reaction, your emotion in that moment, how you felt about that conversation.
I mean, I loved it. I loved it. I think what we've seen from Charlye and Micah is this reckoning. She's coming to grips really with the fact that he is an adult Black man. He's not her little boy anymore. And I had a comment about him always saying, I'm grown, I'm 20. I'm like, we get it. We got it. Micah's
well, I'm sick of him and his I'm grown.
Right. Micah has progressed.
People, maybe you ain't grown enough yet. That's how I feel about it. If you gotta keep telling me.
But I feel like we would have gotten it anyway, just seeing dialogue, just seeing this type of dialogue. They're not having these petty fights, right? In this very serious moment, she hits him with 1, 2, and he is like, okay, 3, 4, what about this? You know what I mean? And it's an opportunity really for her to see that it's okay. He's not just flying off the hook, jumping out the window, you know what I'm saying, stealing the car and trying to go downtown and breaking windows. No, he's organized.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And an entire movement. He's very focused. She can see that. And then that reconciliation part where she says, hey, you got another shirt like that to fit me?
Yep.
And it was just this coming together.
That was the moment.
And it's a testament to what can happen as a parent when you shift from just being teacher to listening.
Yeah. And it was almost in that moment that Micah picked up the mantle that Nova had dropped. Because that's what we would have expected Nova to be doing.
Oh,
and following along.
Yes.
So it's almost like there was an invisible mantle. I mean, you know what I'm saying, being passed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree completely.
Well, and two, I think that let me say categorically, Micah is grown. Whether or not people and that's the dissonance between parent and child, where they never want to let go. If you let a parent tell you they never grow, and they could be 50, 60 years old and they still 4 years old. You know what I'm saying? And some parents just never want to let go. And some people would never see a person as grown. But two, Charlye forgot that when they first met in the hallway, but when they were in his room before this conversation, she told him, because remember he said, I just need to go study. She was like, no, get it out. Let it all out. Yes. Don't try to stifle it.
Right.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube at that point.
You gave him permission to feel his emotions.
You told him to let it out. And when that comes out, you have to be prepared for what it looks like.
Yeah.
What that is.
You got to be prepared for what it looks like. Yeah.
Him, it's very different because from what we've seen of the character Charlye, she has not had this experiences that Micah has had. She hasn't.
Right.
So his whole lens of looking at this is dramatically different.
And she's a female.
Female. Two, she has a mother that is white and a father that is black, whereas Micah has a father who I guess is black. We ain't been told he's mixed.
He's black.
We haven't been told that he's of mixed race. So I'm assuming the father is fully black, and the mother is, at least mixed in all intents and purposes. So his experience is different. And then him having that experience from season 1 or 2, or whatever season that was, is completely. So his whole way of looking at it. So Charlye, I understand her trying to be motherly to a certain degree, but you kind of asked for this. He tried to keep it in and say, "Let me go study," and she said, "No, let it out, let it be." And hey, it is what it is in this way now. So I was glad when she came back and said, "You know what? I asked for this, so no, I'm gonna go with you. We're gonna do all of this together." I think she was doing it for other reasons to kind of keep an eye on him and make sure that he wasn't,
and again, let's not forget, like, yes, all of that I agree 100%. But at the end of the day, she's still a scared mama who watched someone who looks like her son die.
Yes.
Like, she's still dealing with her. I mean, it's like, yes, I get it, but I'm not. It's not so much I don't want you going out there because I don't want you fighting. I'm scared.
Yeah, you want him to be safe. I think she's proud of how radical and outspoken he is, but look, I think the need for him to be safe is greater for her.
But why is she even surprised about it? She brought him around her sister who was an activist. Didn't he spend a whole summer or something with Nova? So to me, I don't get the shock and surprise by it. She's been around somebody that's all that she wants to do is march and everything else. So
maybe like a lot of black people, she felt like let somebody else do it.
But remember, that was a conflict when she first. That was a conflict.
But all of this wanting him to be safe, we've already proven that does not stop it from happening. Right. Already happened. You can
echo again. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. Hello? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with these echoes. They don't want me to.
Everything sounds good. I'm on my computer, but everything sounds good on my end. Just be honest with you guys.
Let me
it seems like it's gone now. I don't know. It just seems like it seems like it's gone now. But again, remember that was
what I said was for all this of her wanting him to be safe, it's already been proven. You can want that all you want to. It's not guaranteed. It's
nobody. We get that, El Teddy. I'm saying that's part of her emotion. We understand that there is no safety, which we're going to get to that on the last conversation of this episode. We get it that you can take all of the right precautions, but things are going to be what they're going to be. But what I'm saying is, that is a part of her emotion that she's processing. That's all I'm saying. That we can't forget that in all of this, she's still a mother.
And she can't let that go. She cannot let that go. There's no, as a mother, you can. I don't give a care what anyone says. You can say this is the most safest 100%. That person is good. As a mother, you're going to say, what else can I do to make my child safer? It doesn't matter what statistics or anything. And that child might be an adult. Like Teddy says, I know that I'm over 40, but my mother still probably sees me as like her 10-year-old daughter. So it doesn't matter what my kid or my sons do. I'm going to always worry about them whether they're around me or away from me. So regardless of how she knows how Micah was raised, who he is as far as an activist and all this kind of stuff, she kind of just, most of the time as a mother, you kind of like either you beat him or you join him. Like El Teddy said, keep her eye on him, but to also join the fight and be a part of it.
Right.
I don't feel like she has to kind of envy with Nova. I'm sorry. I don't feel like
no. You're fine. I didn't want to cut you off.
I felt like she envied Nova a little bit because of the fact Nova was a rebel. Nova was the one that would go out
and
there
brave. She was brave.
She was stuck in her little square box where she was like, I got to do this. I got to prove because I got pregnant in college. I got to be perfect. All the, I've always felt like that. That's my opinion.
Right. And so the next big conversation we see, Avi, Mr. Prosper, and Hollywood down to the diner, boarding up because they're, of course, they're fearing what could happen if, there is a riot. They're seeing it all over TV. They know that there's a big protest, and so even though Avi's like, ain't nobody touching my diner. Like they know what it is. They know who I am, and I'm good. And we see again Hollywood still processing what the anger, and we find out that there's a gun. Now, Avi and Hollywood had agreed that there would be no gun in the home. And this is the first time that Avi is realizing that Hollywood has a gun. And so we see the conversation between Hollywood and Avi. I noticed how Prosper tipped right on out of that thing. He was like, yeah, this don't have nothing to do with me. And he tipped right on out of that diner. Right. He hit the church finger and was like, this don't have nothing to do with me. But we see where Aunt Vi is upset because she's feeling like this is a violation. We agreed, and for every day that this gun was in our home, you were lying to me. But then we saw him explaining that need to protect. I'm sorry, I'm echoing again. Miss Honey, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, now I feel I'm echoing.
I don't know what is going on with this.
Oh, I'm not hearing anything.
I can hear.
All right, try it now, Miss Honey.
That's good now. So, for me,
I did hear a little bit.
It was a weird setup, right? Because I am against guns, and I don't even want to unload a gun laying on the table pointed in my direction, right? So I got where she was coming from, but really, that whole George Floyd thing changed that for me, because I saw the men in my family, up their armory game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it's necessary, because we know that you can't even be in your own home. What bothered me was that Aunt Vi's disgust for the gun overshadowed what she knows to be true about Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And Hollywood really technically has not lied to her since we had the whole incident where he had the bipolar wife, right?
Right.
For the most part, Hollywood has told the line with Vi. And it just bothered me. It bothered me that was the bulk of the conversation, was her getting mad at him for having a gun. Like, it's the same thing as you thinking that people aren't going to break your windows. Like, if you don't see that there's a shift in the atmosphere right now, and we've got to be on guard now more than ever, like, Vi, come on. I feel like Vi's age, she should have known better. And I think I just don't think it needed to happen. I don't think we needed to have that dialogue with her. I think it could have been an opportunity for her to have a more cathartic conversation with Hollywood. And I think what we're going to see in the next episode is going to be a direct result of her just kind of not getting it, and him not being able to come to her. Even the fact that he decided he didn't want to deal with the spot, the real spot, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of, all of that coupled, the gun conversation didn't need to be had. It really didn't need to be had. I was surprised at Vi for that.
El Teddy, then Kamisha, and then I'll give my opinion on it.
I felt like at the beginning, I felt like Miss Honey feels. When they first started that conversation, I was like, really, Vi? She was, delusional to think, oh, they ain't gonna burn down my spot. Just like she was delusional when she put up that sign. Well, I can't say delusional because we all didn't know at that time. Mm-hmm. But when she put up the sign and said we'll be back open April 1st, and looking back, we all knew, yeah, baby, you ain't gonna be open. And I think she always tries to see the best in these people, not knowing, like Miss Honey say, boo, they will burn your store down like they'll burn everybody else's store down. Fire do not care. Rage sometimes does not care who, is acted out upon. And I think that conversation between Hollywood and Aunt Vi was so important, because she had to be quiet. She had to be still, be quiet, and listen to him express, I'm a grown-ass black man whose job it is to protect this family. Because y'all out here thinking about everything in the world. We got Mike and Nova out here just protesting. We got Charlye out here with the council. We got Ralph Angel and Darla over here just still feeling the, spirits of love and everything. Somebody got to be out here around here thinking about, okay, who's protecting everybody in the best interest? And even when he had to break it down to, even if I die, please let it be said
Mm.
that I died because I was making sure that everybody was protected. He was the first one that introduced into the argument, hey, nobody's talking about the fact that George Floyd has a family
Right.
Yeah.
and what they perhaps are going through. And Vi had to literally sit there and just be quiet and finally listen. Because sometimes you see with Vi, she's older and sometimes she gets stubborn and she doesn't want to hear, she doesn't want to listen. But she had to sit there and listen to her husband. And he told, and at the end of the day, she ended up, you saw her crying and going through her weeping moment. And he had to, no, I'm not getting rid of the gun. The gun will stay.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Vi was giving us this too shall pass, this too shall pass, and you get that a lot from your grandma, your your older aunties or whatever. This too shall pass. It's like moving past the situation. No, this is a different animal. This is a different animal. If it's gonna pass, we gonna have to make it pass.
Well, one thing I will say about that situation, when he shut her down, she wasn't ready because everything that's happened with when he shut her down. I was like, I even was like, let me be quiet, turn the light off,
Right.
but what I'm saying is, it's like he's completely different to time what El Teddy said, what Miss Honey said, because of him losing his mother. Then all this black man does not feel safe. His family does not feel safe. He's going into this transition to something else, whatever that might be. Yes, he had a gun. Yes, allegedly he lied, but allegedly he didn't. It's like he's going to go through a change, and I don't know. I think Miss Honey might have said something a little bit about it. If she's going to be prepared, or if she's ready for who he's going to be at the end of all this, because I don't know if they're going to stay together once he fully sees and feels who he is, because he's different. He's not the same Hollywood that we saw in the first 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's worth her taking a step back. I do think it's worth her taking a step back. It's a teachable moment for all of us as women, right? Because we are all wearing this cape, right? You want to jump in and tell your man what to do and keep him safe in the same turn. The fact of the matter is, if Hollywood he's had that gun for a while. If he was going to use it, he'd have pulled it out on that no good ex-husband she had. Right. Mm-hmm. So, you're not dealing with a dude that's got this flip temper, right? Like, he doesn't have this hair trigger. It was an opportunity for her to take a step back and do an assessment and say, let me see what I'm dealing with here, because this is a different Hollywood.
Yep.
Yeah. And for me, I feel like El Teddy in the beginning, I was like, well, this conversation, out of all of the conversations, this was my least impactful, because my mother always taught me, and Keep It Cute just said something similar. Sometimes you just got to let a man be a man. And I think this was just an example of letting a man be a man. I understand. I'm reading the comments, and some people say, hey, what's the big deal? I grew up with guns in the house. This is how I grew up. I get it. But for those of us who didn't, for those of us where that wasn't a common thing, it is a big deal. I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm not keen on necessarily having a gun in my home. But I also know that at this point in my life, if I get married and this is something that there's going to have to be some sort of, some sort of compromise in that. And sometimes you just have to let a man be a man. And I don't think that there's anybody who wouldn't understand, especially as a Black man, his desire to want to protect his family. I'm surprised that Vi felt that way, but I see a lot of people in the comments talking about her abusive past, and I get it. And I get it. I get it, Star, that down south, but up here, legally, I mean, you gotta remember, I grew up in DC. In DC, it wasn't even legal for you to own a gun unless you were in law enforcement. It was against the law. So if you had a gun in your home, it was illegal. So when you down south where people go hunting and where it's just they're legal and the gun laws are different, there's a different mentality. But when you didn't grow up with that, it's different. But I understand. I saw it, but I definitely understand what El Teddy is saying. But like I said, sometimes you just gotta let a man be a man, and I think that was an example of you gotta let a man be a man. I will be interested to see how hard Aunt Vi does push Hollywood, not so much with this situation, but she's not going to let him giving up on his business go. The spot, the male spot, whatever they're calling it. She's not going to let that go. And it'll be interesting to see where that goes. So, okay. Now, with all of this going on, Darla and Ralph Angel have been living their own little personal life. They're on their honeymoon. They ain't watching the TV. They ain't got their phones. They must not have no news alerts on their phone either. But anyway, now I was mad at Hollywood for calling Ralph Angel. I was mad at Hollywood for interrupting Ralph Angel on his honeymoon, but I also understood it from one, I don't think he realized that Ralph Angel didn't know. And two, he needed a friend.
Yeah.
He needed a friend.
That is his best friend. And he did need somebody.
He needed a friend.
Yeah. He's struggling so bad.
And we saw that raw emotion, the immediate reaction from Ralph Angel when he turned on the TV, and we just saw that moment, which was it was just powerful. He just sat there and he just cried. And he was by himself and he was in that moment. And then the next thing we see is Ralph Angel and Darla ready to go. And Ralph Angel is like, listen, I understand, but can we we got 2 days left, because once we leave, we back in that bull.
Yeah.
Back in the world. Can we just have a little bit of sanity for 2 days? Can we do it? And Darla was like, listen, I get it and I understand, but I need to hold my baby. I need to get to my son. So how did you guys feel about that conversation? Darla is also wearing a Black Mothers Matter t-shirt, which of course becomes a conversation later on in the episode. But that conversation, how you guys feel about that? Miss Honey, you can go first.
I loved it. I was with Ralph Angel though. I would have wanted to stay the next 2 days and just to have that moment, because looking at the whole situation, you already know that that's going to probably be the last time you have that type of peace. At the same time, I've never been a mother, but I can imagine her wanting to be there and try to reconcile things with Blue, because he's a different kind of child, right? So I could see her urgency with that situation. Also, I think it's a part of Darla that wanted to just get back to the safety of the farm. Just get back to the safety of the compound, the home compound. I could get that as well. I love how Ralph Angel handled the dude at the gas station. I thought that was absolutely, it was still a very pensive moment. I stand by the fact that I have a little PTSD. I wanted him to just, grab Darla up and push her in that truck and go on about his business. Don't even talk to this man, because, things can go left so quickly. It doesn't even have to be an argument. It could be a look. It could be loud music in your car. It could be any of those things. So I was feeling that anxiety, but I love how he handled it, how he didn't go into this hyper aggressive mode, which, we've had some experience with Ralph Angel with that in the earlier seasons. I thought that was really great. And I loved how this made them closer. You get what I mean? It wasn't like he was compartmentalizing his anger and she was compartmentalizing her worry, and they were, in this truck and she's looking out the window and he's just driving in silence. They stayed coupled up through the whole thing, including talking with Blue. And in the moment where he began to talk to Blue and she went to stop him and he said, "It's time." Oh, it was like chills.
Oh yeah, we definitely gonna get to that. We're gonna get sir. You want to put your avatar up while you are munching? I'm just saying, because you are digging in. I felt that too.
That's what I do.
Anyway, I said the same thing, Miss Honey, that going back to what we were saying about Nova, season 1, season 2, Ralph Angel would have handled that whole confrontation totally different.
Yeah.
And I felt like we saw the growth in Ralph Angel. Yes, it got tense, but we definitely saw the growth in Ralph Angel in that moment with that exchange with the guy at the gas station. Kamisha and then El Teddy.
We're going back to what when Hollywood called. Hollywood calling was at first a little bit of a little annoyance, like everybody was saying, but Hollywood is really leaning on Ralph Angel. I think that all the characters, if we think about it, have the growth from the very first episode to the, I guess, mid-season, the first season period, how everybody has, the relationship has grown so much to the point where this man can call him on his honeymoon and be like, yo, did you watch the news? Right. And yes, I did wonder how they didn't see it, but they probably had everything turned off because they were having this time together. But the growth I saw, like Miss Honey said, at the truck, I thought was, because I really thought he was going to, because even myself, I'm thinking to myself, Lord, if that was me, I don't know. But I like the way it was handled. He protected his woman. The way he treats Darla, even in that instance, he's always protected her. But there was a time where Darla could have walked by, could have been on fire, and he wouldn't have spit on her to save her life. So
you ain't lying.
I just liked that whole entire scene, and even the conversation with Hollywood and him sitting there with the tears and all of that. That was a powerful scene as well.
El Teddy.
Yeah.
I keep talking about how we see this change going in people, and I think this whole season we've seen a cataclysmic shift in Ralph Angel's character. Even Kofi, who plays Ralph Angel, he must have went and took some voice lessons or something, but his voice doesn't even sound the same as it did in previous seasons.
It's just as sexy as it's always been.
I'm about to say, it
all day.
Okay.
There is a dramatic difference. Listen, I love Mr. Kofi. Listen,
he sounds a little older and wiser. I will say that.
There's more bass to it. There's more maturity to the voice. Those
about that bass.
But it was just like around little boy voice, and I was like, "Your voice is annoying. Please shut up. Just bang me out and don't talk." Okay.
Look.
But if
he talks like Anthony Hamilton sings.
If we go down to Ralph Angel, what you see with Ralph Angel, I immediately thought about the dad.
Y'all got me excited.
I remember the dad had his own run-ins with a white person, and when Nova was little, and I talked about it on my review. I immediately remembered that, and I had to remember, okay, how is Ralph? Because Nova channels her mom, whereas Ralph Angel channels the dad. Mm-hmm. And so I said, how is Ralph Angel, now that he's had his moment to emote and everything, how is he going to change, and where's his trajectory going to go? Is he going to act on it like he would have when he was younger, or maybe like even his dad was, or is he going to do it different? And I feel like had the white boy bucked up, he probably would have handled it differently. But because the white boy kind of said, "Oh yeah, let me not," this ain't he. I think the white boy probably looked around and saw, "Yeah, I ain't got nobody else by me. Yeah, I might want to, dial it back a little bit, bag back a little bit, and let this go ahead and die down." And so you see Ralph Angel, to me in this instance, handle this with a lot, like you all said, with a lot more maturity. Mm-hmm. And I see him doing that moving forward, even as we'll get there to the end of the episode, how he even approached that. So you see this development within him and this maturity within Ralph Angel, where he is becoming. Even if you look at how Hollywood deferred to Ralph Angel in order to call Ralph Angel to get support and comfort from Ralph Angel.
Which is a first, because you can hear the panic in his voice, and he has always been the one that Ralph Angel has come to, really everyone.
So now Ralph Angel has become his dad in the sense of now he is that patriarchal figure that is going to be the go-to person. I really thought that when last episode, when Ralph Angel and Hollywood had that conversation, and Hollywood was on the phone having difficulty with the death of his mom, I thought Ralph Angel was going to kick in and say, "Hey, let me help you with this," because he's had to deal with the death of both of his parents. And I thought that was kind of a missed moment last episode, where Ralph Angel, having dealt with both the death of his mom and dad, could have truly poured into Hollywood and given him a lot more in terms of support and advice in how to deal with the death of a parent like that. But I definitely see Ralph Angel, this maturity and this and him taking on the role of his dad more so in this patriarchal figure that he'll be.
So then we have two more conversations. Three more, but we're gonna get through them. Then we had this other conversation with Nova and Calvin and the daughter over her seasoned chicken parmesan. That comment pissed me off too. When she says to Nova, "Don't worry, I season my food." Like, girl, if you don't
Look,
your ass down,
She's doing too much. She doing
like
too
her.
much.
You not like her.
No, I don't.
The whole relationship.
Yeah, she's doing too
Listen,
much.
so this is where we revisit something that Queen Sugar has already addressed, but it fits so perfectly into this story. We already knew about Calvin standing by while a little black boy was abused under his watch, right? But his daughter seeing this and hearing this story for the first time, and Calvin having to actually relive it. Now, I think that's one of those things where Nova, I think, felt like she had addressed it, dealt with it, and moved on. But again, it is bubbling back up. And I'm curious to see what she does with those emotions and where she puts those emotions. Kamisha and then Miss Honey. And I guess when El Teddy come back.
well, as far as her and Calvin, at first I was seeing like the white light, they're gonna get to the end, but like y'all talking about the Trojan horse, like everything else y'all has said, that this was something she could not attain. She could not get him. He was married, he was unattainable at the time. Now that she's got him, she's like, why am I with you? You done been involved with all of this, that, there, and you feeling uncomfortable. Don't be real. I don't. And then you got this little white daughter up in my house. What is going on? What the? She is not being real. I did not see this. I see her, to be honest, it's crazy. The daughter, I feel like, love Nova more than her own daddy. I mean,
I kind of feel like she might have a real serious crush on Nova.
Yes, I do. And I get what you're saying, Libby TV, when you say that you don't trust her. Because when I first got in the house, I was like, not the entire family, the mom and one of the kids do not like Nova. Goodwill, she talked mad note around her kid. I can't stand. She took your daddy from my family. There was a many times she said that driving in the car or whatever. So for you to, when you said I don't trust her, it could be like a sleeping enemy. Like, oh, we're in the house, I'm getting close to you, and then boom, she drops some crazy mess going on like towards the end of the show. I see it happening too. I don't want to see it happening, but I do, because with Calvin, I think it's weird. He shows these signs of, I'm not comfortable with your blackness. And when I say that, he's attracted to her. He loves to be with her. But like, even when she was going to the protest, didn't he say, can you record it? I remember I said to myself, did you ask her, can she record the protest? Never seen her eat a little Parmesan dinner. I was like, he's not ready. He's not ready for this black experience. No.
Right. He likes the Nubian princess, but he don't want to deal with the real issues.
Thank you.
Honey, and then El Teddy.
I mean, I said the same thing in my review. Like, Nova, you can't be shocked. First, everything, even when she comes out and asks him about if he felt shame, and he's sitting there and they're watching a movie eating popcorn. Like, it's like her whole world culturally has gone kaboom. And he's watching a movie. When he asked her to record it, and first of all, him acting as if he had no idea what he should be ashamed about, like he couldn't even fathom it. I wasn't buying that. I was just like, are you serious? I mean, I get it. I understand it. But then at the dinner table, when he was like, you can record this, I'm like, seriously, Nova? Like, seriously? Really? Like, this your dude. I could see if it was Charlie's dude, right? But it's this your dude. Like, I don't understand what she's doing. Like, what are you doing, Nova? What are you doing? I really feel like the daughter is overly ingratiating herself. It makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. I don't think that, she's just aligning herself with Nova too much. And, I was going to say something else, but I'm not going to say that. Anyway, we know that that's very
Y'all be
easy
putting up
for
with your
some
question.
people. We know that it's very easy for some people to put on that face and act a certain way when they have daggers for you, right? It's very
Mm-hmm.
easy for some people to do that, right? But it pissed me off when Nova took this passive aggressive stance where she's now going to throw Calvin under the bus. Here's the thing, though. You knew all of this and you were okay with it. But now that George Floyd has been killed and things are at a fevered pitch, you want to scrutinize this man. No, no, you should give
Right,
him
because
the
this
same
isn't new
scrutiny you.
information.
Yeah, this is not new information, and you of all people should know it. Give him the same scrutiny you gave old boy that was the doctor. Give him the same scrutiny you gave
The
this
same
guy.
energy. Mm-hmm.
Give him the
Mhm.
same energy. Like I said, it's like Nova is it's like she's been hypnotized or something. She is
It's
a
the
shell.
baptized.
Right. I love what Lil Baby said. He likes the view from the bleachers, but he ain't
Me
trying to
too.
get in the game. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. El Teddy. And
And
then
it's
we got two
insulting.
more.
It's insulting, and
We did.
it's absolutely positively insulting. And her
That's
taking
trash.
it, the old Nova would not have taken this passive aggressive stance. And I don't even want to say it, but I'm gonna say it.
Go on,
I
say
think
it.
she would have sat a black man out for less.
I
We've
don't
seen,
disagree. I don't
well,
disagree with
we've
I
you.
don't
seen
disagree
her.
with
We've
you.
seen
We see
her.
what she did with the black man that she was with
Yeah,
earlier, the cute
yeah,
dark
and you
skin.
accepted all of
Right.
this bull crap
Right.
from from. Go
From
ahead,
your
Can
El
own
I
Teddy.
people. For
how
against your own people, you taking that. But yeah, you did your own people dirty. What's good? What's really good?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
El Teddy, and then we got two more conversations, and we're gonna end this. But go ahead, El Teddy. Give
this
me what you got.
this was the one scene that triggered me.
Okay.
I was completely and utterly triggered when he explained what down payment was. I
Ooh.
immediately that took me out. I was sick to my
Mm-hmm.
stomach. Even now, I get sick to my stomach. I have to swallow twice because I remember, like I told you, my first iteration of dealing with police and all of that, having to have my face planted into the asphalt, inhaling oil and gas fumes from the road with police foot on my face. God, was at like 8 or 9 years old. I'm trying to think, was I 8 or 9? One of the, it was, this, and it makes so perfect sense, but having it put to an actual phrase and term, and him being okay with that, and even if he tells me he's not okay with that, the fact that you didn't say anything, you didn't do anything, you didn't push back. Because I don't remember him having this saying it's called a down payment back when he talked about it the first time.
No, he
Maybe
did. He said it the first time.
I don't remember that, but it just
Yeah, he
makes
said
me
it because
so this.
I was like, what?
I remember him having the conversation with her, but I don't remember that term, and it just made me so sick. I was utterly sickened. It utterly made me so sick to my stomach because even in 2021, this is what's going on. This is accepted practice. This is probably a part of the standing operating procedure, of police forces across the fruited plains. Let's be clear. And I after hearing that, and I already didn't see it for White Boy Cop, but I already know I want this whole relationship. I've never called his name, never will call his name because he does not deserve that amount of respect. His character, I should say, not the person himself. But his character doesn't deserve that amount of respect from me to even call his name. He will be White Boy Cop from now on. But I just want this whole relationship to burn to the ground. Whatever white girl does to Nova, whatever White Boy Cop does to Nova, she has earned it. She earned it from when she wrote that goddamn book. She's earned it for even entertaining the whole idea of having a conversation with this man, which categorically is just the biggest oxymoron and paradox that about this show. I mean, it's just so
Ridiculous.
ridiculous for me to even try to wrap my hands around you telling me she's this big activist fighting for the rights of Black people against the police in her area and so forth, but she get her boxer beat in by a white cop who sat up here and has condoned the same kind of stuff. Make it make sense.
Correction, she's getting her box beat at. I don't think she's getting it beat in. She's getting it beat at.
Right. And let's be clear. I felt the same way, that I'm sitting here and I'm like, there's no way in the world that, knowing this information, Nova still makes this decision. It's no way.
It's no way.
It makes no sense.
I was so glad that I was not going into the office to work at that time.
Right.
In the heat of it, because I just did not know how I was going to handle it. Like, I was so raw and so angry. I mean, so angry. I just don't see how she's in the home with these two lily white. Let's
be clear. I'm still mad at Nova for writing that book. I ain't forgave her now. They might have I'm still mad at her.
I'm still mad. And my thing about it is, it'd be one thing. I could almost see if the writers wrote in there that she was having this fling with the white boy cop, and it was her, indulging, herself and going on. Because you see that with characters sometimes. Sometimes they do this oxymoronic thing that indulges their, guilty pleasures and senses. But you're talking about serious relationships, moving in with the person, having the person's daughter move. These are life-changing moves, and you expect me for that to align with who we know you as a character to be, and so forth. I ain't buying it. Nah, you got to come back.
Look, I just keep going to see what's the name of that movie where the black lady that May was going, no. I swear, I
get out. No.
Well, that tape and that Parmesan and that whole conversation. This is like the Twilight Zone, baby. I just can't.
Yeah, that whole moment was crazy for me. All right, last two conversations. We're gonna save the big conversation last, or at least for me, the big conversation. So we have Hollywood and Vi. Once again, Hollywood is trying to let Vi understand where he is mentally, and he's explaining to her that as a Black man, he talked about those last moments with George Floyd, calling. Here I go with the again. Hold on, y'all. Is that better? No, it's not. Anyway, the conversation about George Floyd calling to his mom. El Tego.
All right. So we're talking about the conversation that he had. Here we have a Black man hearing, knowing, and understanding that in these yet to be United States, you can't even have another Black man come and help and save you, because he'll find himself in the same predicament.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to go to the help that you know has been there from your inception. From the time you had your first heartbeat in the womb, you got to call upon, that's like calling on Jesus.
Yes, Lord.
Listen, I say all the time, women cry all the time. I expect women to cry. It doesn't move me when women cry. That doesn't mean I don't feel any way about women, but women cry.
Right.
You got grown-ass Black men, grown-ass Black, where they over here shedding tears. That's when wait a minute, something got to change. Something happened. Listen, I don't know what happened, but whatever that happened, it's time for some stuff. How many people who grew up, in households with their mom and dad, you might have on one hand the amount of times you might have seen your daddy literally in tears. And that one time, one or two times that you knew at that point, hey, it's something got to change here. Something has to shift. And we have Hollywood, who is this, this traditional Black male figure in all of his machismo, masculinity, and all of the love and affection that you want him to be. But as a Black man, And now, because of everything that this country, this society puts on him, is emasculated, is castigated so much to the point where all he can do is damn near be in a fetal position, weeping, thinking about and calling for his mom. Because let's be clear, him being with Vi is a call out to the mom. This is mommy issues. Let's just be clear. Whether or not we want to accept it, it is what it is. And with his mom literally being gone, now she's the first point of contact with, it was a lot. It was a whole lot. And it speaks volumes to the state of Black men in this country, the state of the mental and emotional well-being and wherewithal of the Black man in these yet to be United States of America. I'm gonna let y'all go because I got so much more to say about it. But go ahead.
I'm gonna say, as far as a mother, that's the first line and last line defense from when you start and even when you finish. That's just when you called out for your mom, especially with a young Black man or old Black man or whatever age it is. You get to the point you're calling out for your mom. It's like El Teddy says, a serious thing. Now, El Teddy, I didn't want to say it. I haven't talked about it, but you touched on something about Aunt Vibe and maybe her replacing or whatever. Because it seems like his relationship with his mom was super tight. I even was brought back to when he was reading the letters when he was a truck driver. And I really forgot all about that. How, he would write to his mom, how he was so close to his mother. So that was the core of him. And I really feel like that since his mother passed, I kind of felt like the show's was I ain't say surrounding his mother's death, but it's just crazy how they tie it in with him in the fetal position or being on his neck and calling out for his mother, him losing his mother. I don't know why I thought it kind of was tied in together, because I feel like ever since he lost his mom, he's broken right now. He's broken, not just because of the George situation, but he's broken, period, because him losing his best friend. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
I believe that kind of absolutely. He is broken. He's definitely broken.
Miss Honey?
I definitely can see the mother piece for sure. I do think Hollywood has separated. I think he genuinely finds by sexually attractive.
Yeah, I don't think it's a mommy issue, but that's just me.
But of course, I think like most people, he loves that wisdom. That may be his turn on. His turn on may be that older woman wisdom. The greater issue for me, like Kamisha was saying, hold on one second. Sorry, you guys, I had to cough. But I think that, like Kamisha was saying, he's an open wound right now. And so Vi's role is pivotal here, right? She is what all women are, which is we're intercessors. We have a measure of discernment and understanding about certain things. Like we can read the room, right? And she's missing an opportunity here because he's always been so consistent. And so now when the strong person goes off the reservation, bleeds outside the circle, and people around him don't necessarily see it. I'd like to hear more conversation from Prosper, because Prosper's always been like a mentor to him. Mm-hmm. Like, are people seeing the fact that he is so fragile right now? He is not our same Hollywood. Our Hollywood that we've known, he's always been wise counsel. And now he seems to be floundering. And I'm excited about next week, because I want to see what we do with this, because we can see it in each one of our own families when a person when a person, something breaks in them, and what do you do with that? Like, how do you rally that person? How do you support that person? How do you remain empathetic and supportive all at the same time without allowing them to go too far to the left, to the right. Like this is a really, really key storyline because we can all see it in our own families at some point.
Mm-hmm. And I agree, Kamisha. I think that's the elephant in the room. I don't think it's by accident that it hasn't been explored, but certainly Prosper is definitely. We know what he was going through with being isolated and lonely, but he was very, very quiet in this episode. And even if you go back to the beginning, when Aunt Vi said to him, "Well, what do you think about it, Prosper?" and he was like, "It is what it is. This is racism. It's always been ugly. It's always looked like this." And again, we know that Prosper, he came of age in a very rural, very southern area of the country at the height of the civil rights movement. So we know that there's some trauma with him as well that we may or may not get the background.
I think that I think that they will, because now I always talk about this. This show does a great job of showing those generational conversations between Black. You will see Prosper with Hollywood and with Ralph Angel and with Blue and with Michael, where you will see Black men in a space where they have these conversations, and there's great, fruitful generational conversations between Black men. So I like the rest of you, I'm very interested to see how they roll this out and how they, circle the wagons around Hollywood at this time. They do that.
Yeah. So last but not least, and for me, this was probably this is probably my second, maybe top conversation of the night. For me, the first one was that first conversation that Nova had with Calvin when she was like, "Are you ashamed?" Because I think it explored something that we, even as Black people, I don't think always know and realize that we live in that environment where we're expected to be a monolith, that we speak for all Black people. We know we do it, but the way it was brought up in that conversation. But for me, this very last conversation of the night where Darla and Ralph Angel, they have Blue, and they're talking. They find out that he did know about what was going on with George Floyd. Of course, he doesn't understand all the intricacies, but he wasn't oblivious to it either. And Darla is getting ready to give him, rainbows and roses. And Ralph Angel looks at her and said, "It's time." And that just did something to me.
Did you cry though, really, B? That's what I want to know, because you're really good at compartmentalizing.
Did I cry? I got emotional.
Okay.
I got emotional. But I feel like, and I said it in my review, it was almost like when your kid realizes that Santa isn't real. It's that moment, that loss of innocence for Blue. And the first thing Blue, he said, "I got to tell you how to deal with the police." And Blue says, "But I'm not going to be a criminal. I'm not going to do anything wrong." And he has to tell his child, it doesn't matter. No matter what you do, no matter how perfect you are, you will have a run-in with the police. Now, Miss Honey, no disrespect, are you a mom too? Because I know Kamisha is, of a Black.
No, I'm not a mom, but
okay, I don't mean no. I just didn't know. So I'm gonna let Kamisha start off because she's the only mom on this panel. I'm gonna let her start off as
I don't have the ability
coming from, and I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna go to El Teddy as the Black man on this panel, but I want to hear it from a mom's point of view, and that because I know you've had to have that conversation with your sons.
I actually have, and I can remember because I am older than you, but and my sons, I have adult sons, and one is still in high school last year. But anyway, to the generation time, I can remember talking to my son.
Really be is like 69.
You know what? I'm done.
We just couldn't do it, could we?
Then I'm 80. Hold on, then I'm 80, so I'm still older.
Okay,
anyway,
a whole live. Go ahead.
Y'all show look good. All I know.
Thank you, Boo. Thank you.
But when my sons were younger, I had a conversation before the Black Lives Matter, before COVID, for all of that. I still had to have the conversation because I knew it was a time that my sons not necessarily get pulled over, because I live in the suburbs, and my sons most of the time we're the only black boy in whatever situation we were in. And so I was always afraid. And there were some things that happened in our life where they've been accosted by the police, but I gave my boys the tools. And so when they had the conversation, it reminded me of the very first one I had, but there was a difference. The ones that they had completely was the ones I had recently in the past couple of years with my sons, because times had changed. I even had another one again after the George, because my entire family was looking at the TV. And I looked at my boys to get their opinion, and it really rocked them. It rocked them because they couldn't believe, like, it thought it was like a movie. They're like, Mom, I can't believe this was happening in real life. And so to have to look at my sons and say, I don't really have an answer for that. I had a problem with that because it wasn't like I was trying to find an answer, but how can I explain something that I don't understand myself? You know, I mean, to this day, even though we have all these discussions, I've looked at the video, at least a part of it, and I thought about my sons, I thought about my dad, and that part, that scene did bring me to tears, but mostly because the whole son and him being everything's roses and love everybody, like you tell the kids in the little, love everybody, share, be nice, to break it down and say you can be killed and all these things because of the color of your skin. To give that son the real life situation that you know you never want to have, or what, maybe when he gets older, it just rocked me. It rocked me too.
And so let me say this before El Teddy speaks. Kamisha has to drop off soon. She's got to get ready to go to work. I want to thank you for being here again. It was short notice, and I appreciate you coming over. My mods have been dropping the link, but you guys make sure that you are subscribed to Kamisha Reviews YouTube. She does reviews. Obviously, Queen Sugar is one of the shows she reviews, but she reviews a plethora, and she also interviews a lot of your people. So y'all go over there and y'all check her out. She's got some really great content.
She has a great channel. She has a great
so
channel.
I know you have to drop off soon.
It's my first time meeting you, Kamisha, but it was a pleasure.
Yeah, same. I followed you actually in the chat. I followed you as well.
Oh, nice, honey. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
go ahead, and then Miss Honey, I'll let you speak.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and drop off, guys. I wanted to say thank you, Really B, for having me on. I was off today, but I gotta go to work tomorrow night, so I'm probably gonna go to bed early. But I appreciate El Teddy supporting. I saw you earlier, and Really B, you are supporting me, Miss Honey. Nice to meet you. And chat, thank you for having me, guys. Y'all have a good night.
No problem. You too. Have a good one. All right, go ahead, El Teddy, and then we're gonna have Miss Honey, and then we'll do final words because we're gonna get ready to get out of here.
As a black man, the talk, I'm not gonna say is exclusively for black boys, but more often than not, black boys end up having the talk conversation. Not that black girls don't have to have that talk as well, but you find it more so in families with black boys than you will with black girls. And I remember having the talk with my grandfather, because I was raised by my grandmother and grandfather, and the first time we had the talk, I remember I was 7. I was 7 years old, and we had been pulled over by the police, and I don't even got to go down that road, everything, and we hadn't had the talk yet, but my grandfather was barking at us, telling us, do this, do that, do this, do that, do that. And we didn't understand why we were having to do all of the things that we had to do. When we got home, my grandmother and my grandfather sat us, me and my brothers, down, and we had a conversation about, all the talk and everything, and how we, and then we had another conversation once we got old enough to where I think we had another talk around like 12 or 13, where it was a little more in depth of when you're driving or when you're walking down the street, and like literally step by step of what to do. But I said that to say this. I noticed with our generation, Really, we are Generation X.
Notice he said our generation. So the next time
you're at the beginning of the generation, and I'm at the very tail end. I'm very tail end of Generation X. You are at the very beginning. Okay, let's be clear. But I will say this. A lot of our generation tries to shy away from having those conversations, because a lot of our generation did get to the point where we were able to move into you know,
complacency,
and areas where it wasn't where we necessarily grew up. So we perhaps felt that there wasn't a need to have that conversation. We lived through the 90s where there was this, pie in the sky to a certain degree in parts of the 90s where we felt like, oh, America is better for Black people and everything is good. And
well, you didn't live in the crack infested cities, but I understand the point you make.
Right, you understand, and we still had crack infested cities, but you had Black people that were, moving up the socioeconomic ladder more so than they were in the past.
And I feel like us, when I say us, because I grew up middle class, us middle class Negroes, I think we allow the media to give ourselves a sense of separation from what we saw. We like, that's only if you're in a gang. Oh, that's only if you're selling crack. Oh, that's only if you live in certain neighborhoods. And I think we allow ourselves to fall into that.
Status was going to separate you from what it meant to be Black and is yet to be United States. So I felt that there was a going away from the talk and the conversation that our parents had with us and our children. And there became a reckoning that happened when our children began to get old enough, say maybe 10 years ago, late 2000s, early 2010s, where our children started to become teenagers and things, and there became this reckoning where they hadn't had those conversations and they didn't know necessarily how to, how to navigate through being a Black person in America, and they didn't know exactly step by step what to do. And so now we started to have these things go on, and so I have to say, let me say this. White people are certainly having a conversation with their children because the bigots are getting younger. And if you look at even our generation, the Generation X white people are just as bigoted and racist as their parents.
Well, certainly after these last 4 years, where the one great thing,
even before these last 4 years,
let me finish.
Go
ahead. But you was talking for 10 minutes. I thought you was done. Go ahead.
Talk for 10 minutes. I really didn't.
Go ahead, Elton. I'm sorry.
Y'all hug.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, my point that I was making is the conversation is being had with white America and their children and indoctrinating them with the level of bigotry and the level of privilege that it takes to be white. Okay? It is happening. We are not indoctrinating our children with what it means to be Black in America a lot of times. And I do think that this was important. So many times we want to shy away and we call it, I don't want to take away the innocence of my child. The innocence of your child will be snuffed away by the police. Tamir Rice was not an adult. Let's be clear.
Not at all. Not even close.
And so we're afraid of them losing their innocence. We should be afraid of them losing their life.
Absolutely.
And so these conversations have to be had. As much as we say, we shouldn't have to. No, we need to. We need to remind, because we live in societies where school systems are now removing slavery from the history books, where school systems are now saying that America has always been good to Black people, and that is not the case. Where children like Blue, who immediately came back and said, well, my teacher said that there are no bad people. And they had to come back and say, oh, yes, there are bad people. That is not correct. And we certainly have to embrace and be comfortable with having that conversation. I appreciate how the way that I was taught, it was a situation where it was they had that initial conversation when I was like 7, and they told us what happened and what it kind of meant to be Black in America. Then as I got older and I understood more, they had this conversation where it was more along the lines of a step by step. This is exactly what you do. This is how you do it. This is who you call. This is how you place your hands. This is the inflection of the voice you need to have. This is the ma'am, the sir, the everything that you need to say. Well, it was really in depth at that point. And so I'm not saying it has to happen all at one time when they're 4 or 5 years old, but there certainly needs to be gradual stages to us indoctrinating and educating the youth of Black America on what it means to be America. I mean, what it means to be Black here in this country. Because I would rather somebody come home having to give up their masculinity rather than them having to be a hashtag.
Okay. Miss Honey?
Okay, I'm going to be real quick, but I felt like it was a robbery. It was another theft of innocence. I really did. I resented that they had to do that. It was very well done. And I can definitely appreciate the way that it was done, but it's not lost on me that they had to do it, that they felt compelled to do it. And it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. My father, and most people who follow my channel know that my father has dementia, and he'll be 78 this year. And it's so funny because a lot of things has fallen away in his memory, but the one thing he always remembers is his grandmother and his mother telling him how he had to behave when they went fishing. They had to come back from where they were before the sun went down. And these are conversations that he repeats the exact same way over and over again. When he thinks about it, this is what he says: sit up, y'all, wake up, sit up back there. Okay. Don't move. Put your hands on your legs, and to be his age. And this is one of the things that he has held on to, says a lot. Right. But our coming up, I remember my father saying, you look him in the eye. Don't hold your head down. You look him in the eye. You speak clearly. I can remember my mom being from the North, my dad from the South. My dad had a completely different perspective, but he grew up in a house of 5 boys. Right. My mom being from the North, where people had sort of escaped from the South, she had a more, I don't want to say uppity, but she's from the North, so she was just like, I wish saltine would,
right?
Yeah, I wish a saltine would, right? And my dad did have that kind of perspective, but like El Teddy was saying, your first goal is to get your babies home. Your first goal is to get your kids home safely, right? And you have to teach them that. It's appalling. More appalling than that, though, is the fact that Caucasians will never get it. They will never really get the impact that it has on every aspect of our lives, from code speak to how you dress, how you carry yourself at work, how you talk about your own personal life at work, what you drive. I have a good girlfriend whose mama was a manager at AT&T in the 80s, and she drove a Chevy Chevette. She had a what do you call it? Oh man. I don't know why I get into these things, but anyway, she had a very, very expensive car that she kept parked at home. When she went to the office, she drove that Chevy Chevette. Most of the time she drove it to the train station and caught the 186 downtown, right? Because she knew that she couldn't allow them to see her in this successful place. Like, that to me is more grievous than anything, is that you will never, ever get it. and you can understand some aspects of it. You can have some, conversation about it. Jimmy B, you know what I'm saying? You can try to relate and make it real common and, matter of fact in your speech and all that, but you'll never, ever know the impact that you have had on Black people and their lives, and how we shape just about everything just to exist. And it is absolutely, positively, to me, one of the most egregious things ever. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm not going to get into things that have happened to other cultures. I'm just going to say the fact that we are still enduring it, and those cultures are not, is a testimony to how important it is that we are oppressed, how important it is that we don't ever get that true leg up. Oh, we've got our degrees, right? We've got it. We've got our homes, we've got our nice cars, and we've got good jobs where we make good money. But every time you forget, they remind you in one way or another, if they got to put their foot on somebody else's neck and kill them on national TV.
You better say
it is a reminder to you of what your place is. And you could be on the other side of the world in California, in your mansion, counting your millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's a message to you as a Black person.
So for me, I'm gonna say this and then we're gonna close it up. Cyber Diva, I think you summed up how I felt about that conversation perfectly. Black boys shouldn't have to grow up so early and realize systematic and deeply rooted injustice at such a tender age. He can't even enjoy his whole childhood, because let's be clear, Blue will never be the same. Oh. His outlook will never be the same.
That's
his
right.
innocence has been shattered. When he said, well, my teacher said there are no bad people, and his father had to tell him, but there are. Yeah. I know that we want to teach our kids rainbows and roses, but guess what? There are bad people in this world. That's a fact. The boogeyman does exist. Before I forget, I want to thank you to Miss Adams. I don't do government names, but since you put your last name, thank you, Miss Adams, for the Cash App. It is much appreciated. I appreciate the love. I appreciate everybody who was here tonight. I appreciate Miss Honey jumping on at the last minute. I appreciate El Teddy. Yeah, for those of you who might be new here or in the bushes and this is your first time here, this is what me and El Teddy do. We go back and forth, child. He always coming for me. I don't bother him. I don't do nothing.
I feel like y'all need to have a Rocky festival. Like he just a Rocky ceremony.
Bothering me, Miss Honey. He comes for me now all the time. But this is what we do. We're not.
I not start this live praising really be? Let the record show. Roll the red ball back to the beginning when we were giving whole, tribe news and stuff like. And I gave a whole 5-minute soliloquy. She talked to me about how low my soliloquy was when I was praising her and telling her how great she was. There was no, you've been on 10 minutes there. But now when I want to give my own opinion, it's been on 10 minutes.
And I need to have a Rocky ceremony. Y'all need to have a Rocky ceremony. Both of y'all work on your bracelets, on your friendship bracelets.
I need to tie a bracelet around El Teddy's
sisterhood, brotherhood festival.
Ever.
I'm not doing this with her.
I thank y'all for being here, and we will definitely come back around to Queen Sugar. It is absolutely positively. I know y'all know I'm here for the mess. We can do the reality shows, we can talk celebrity news, but absolutely positively, I am always here for a deep conversation on a level that we can vibe off each other. I thank you for the people who are here, who are contributing in the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love. I appreciate all of y'all. And y'all know that Miss Honey is always, Miss Honey she ain't been through here in a little while up on the panel, but she has been here before. Thank you to my mods who've been dropping the links to my panelists. Make sure you guys are subscribing to these channels if you're not already.
Make sure you're subscribed to Teacher Project 2.0. We are going to have
mods, can you drop the link for the Teacher Project 2.0?
Project 2.0 tomorrow. Myself really.
Right. For those who do not know.
That's where you go. Go to Teacher Project 2.0 if y'all want to see us kumbaya and get along all the time. That's where you go. You go to Teacher Project 2.0 and you will see us love.
We disagree sometimes over there, but we agree more times than not. Though.
Yeah.
So for those, again, if there's anybody new who's new to us or just coming through, the Teacher Project 2.0 is El Teddy and myself education show. It is all about education with a focus on issues that affect our minority students and students who are part of the LGBTQIA community. And so tomorrow we will be meeting on the Teacher Project 2.0. Let's say 5:30 my time, East Coast time. Is that good for you, El Teddy, tomorrow, 5:30 East Coast time? All right, 5:30 East Coast time, we will be doing a conversation. Some of the topics that we will be discussing, we'll be discussing the new CDC guidelines as it relates to education. We will be discussing minority curriculum in the state of Florida and also in the state of California. Was there something else? I know those 3 topics we had talked about. What was there something else?
Just the latest news with the Secretary of Education and all
any,
of that.
right, and any updates on Secretary of Education, school updates, things of that nature. So join us over there, you guys, tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you. Please make sure you are subscribed to all everybody.
Thank you, really, B, for having me. I appreciate
no problem.
it.
Thank you so much, Miss Honey.
And I want to say thank you to all my honeybees down in the chat. You guys are absolutely awesome. And Teddy, I got some sugar with your name on it.
You know what? What I know for sure is that El Teddy is gonna always make an old joke, and Miss Honey is gonna always flirt with her. What you call him? Your Teddykins?
Teddicus.
She gonna always flirt with her Teddicus.
He gives me Roman teas.
Right. Love you to death, Miss Honey. Thank you so much.
With that being said, honey, we are getting out of here.
You know, I give reality TV to some of my fellow reviewers, but this kind of television show, this is my judge, this is my area, this is my
thank
lane.
you. I don't want to call your government name, but thank you so much for the Cash App. It says just because. Well, I love you just because, in the words of the great Anita Baker. I love you just because. Thank you so much.
Let me listen to me some Anita.
Yeah.
I need to listen to somebody that I'm going to listen to.
Okay. And then on that note, we're going to get out of here so I can get some other things done, because y'all know I got to get up in the morning these days, honey. My days of sleeping in are over. I got to get up. So let me get some things done before I got to go to work. And I will talk to y'all later. Thank y'all so much for being here. Peace.
Bye.